Hello, this is Tina with SI2, and welcome to your mid-year intervention evaluations meeting. December has arrived. You've made it. The month of December, fortunately, is a very light month with your work on the online system. There will be 2 meetings that you will be doing. You will be hosting the council discussion, which you will find in the VTA process, steps 2 through 7. And then you will also be hosting the student body discussion, which is found on step 8. And of course, in accordance with which update you're in, 1 and 3, section 5, and update 2 schools will be in section 4. After watching the steering team video, you'll then, as always, go into step 3, which is opening, in this case, for this meeting, your root causes and intervention crosswalk. And you will remember that as you put in the interventions last year, it was developing this crosswalk, making sure that you were covering the root causes, those pesky little problems that keep your data from moving forward. And so you'll want to be sure and check that closely this year. It's an odd year, so you may not be able to even address some of those root causes. If that's the case, make note of it and then move on. It's fine. And then in step 4, you're going to be opening your intervention summary. And as you will recall, each of the interventions have a summary with them. And so this just kind of helps everybody remember the context in which the interventions are written. So after watching your steering team video, you're going to have a discussion that will involve looking at the intervention descriptions. As you recall, we wrote a summary on each of the interventions, and then you will look at your root cause crosswalk and see if you're able and have been able this odd year to actually dissolve some of those root causes with those interventions. And if not, it's not a problem. Just make note of it. As we've said, you really want to make sure that those items on the crosswalk are being addressed by the interventions, but this isn't every other year. When you have your council meeting, you'll remember that, as always, it is ready for emailing. The video is there and ready to go. And so you just go into, as you usually do, with step 2, and then you'll look at step 5 and you decide if it's going to be online or in person and online. Remember, you have those options. And then you just click the appropriate things. If it's an in-person meeting, remember that you do set an appropriate date and a location. Otherwise, you just set the date of when you want the discussion to be closed. And that's that little calendar icon that will pop up. Once that meeting is open, and this is very crucial, and I will give you a heads up, I made it very clear to the council members that if they have any questions, concerns, if they're just lost in this meeting, and it would be easy for them to get lost, you are constantly monitoring this meeting for their responses. The reason being that they're not highly familiar with the crosswalks, with your root causes, and with the interventions. And they also don't have that inside information this year that you have, knowing how you've had to stop and start and realign and get things up and running, or maybe stopping or whatever this year, in this bizarre year. So they may be asking you some questions in those response boxes for clarifications, asking you, what it is that they need to be looking at specifically. They are really counting on you during this meeting to monitor these discussions and make sure that you're getting the answers back to them so that you can have a really good discussion. So please, please, please monitor very carefully this time. Then once your meeting is closed online, you simply go through, you write the summary of the information and submit it as always. Remember that if your meeting is held in person, you will want to distribute hard copies of the intervention summary, which is step 4, which is linked in the online meeting. They will get all of this automatically. The student body discussion will be grade appropriate, the questions this time. So for grades K through 2, what we're asking the students is, what have you learned so far this year in reading and math? And have you learned other things that make you a good student? For grades 3 through 5, we up it a little bit. And so we talk about how earlier in the school year, they were asked basically the same question. And so now we're doing this mid-year summary, or just kind of a check-in. And so they will be talking about what they've seen so far this year. You should get some really interesting responses. It is remarkable how these kids are really paying attention to what's going on. And they're still working right away. And then, of course, even lengthier for grades 6 through 12, which is just basically talking about, the things that were implemented to make the school improvement plan successful. What do they see happening inside and outside of their classrooms that show that the process is working and that the interventions are going? And there may be some really good, credible information that comes out of, especially with the upper grades, in seeing what's working or maybe what's not working right now. There again, you could get a wealth of information out of this. It's kind of a stopgap meeting in December. And so you're really wanting to check. And here again, these are your ears and eyes that are giving you information. And then once, of course, all the students have replied, you're going to write your summary and then you submit it online. I sound like a broken record, but this is a record I'm happily to be broken with. Keep up this tremendous work with the students in the process. It is just absolutely amazing, the information that you're getting from students when I see that with all of the circumstances that you're dealing with, these kids are still very engaged in the process. I mean, on your lowest day, look at these student responses because they are still engaged thanks to you. And as always, if you need any assistance, be sure and call me, 317-207-0246, or always, I hope I'm on your email speed dial too, tina@inspiresuccess.org. I wish you all the best of the holidays. Good luck to you in your endeavors for the rest of the semester, and I hope you get some much needed rest during the holidays.